Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're back. Thank you so much. Getting a little bit of flack from the sexually charged lyrics in that song, but I think we all enjoyed the Spike Lee joint from what's the School Days. You got a little bit of EU in there. Of course, tonight is Go-Go night, playing a little bit of go-go music, showing some love for the folks up there in the Washington, D.C. metro area. It's time for the Diva Diaries. You want to be down with us tonight, give us a call, 804-562-6160. Particularly looking for the ladies to call us up tonight, 804-562-6160. Be down with us on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. I want to say peace to everybody that's listening to us on MixLR. We see y'all. The lights are on. Steven, thank you for listening. I know it's your first time. Dating Pool Diva is waving at you right now. She says thank you for listening. We got Arthur Charisma in the building. Just getting ready to lead us. So what we got? Dating Pool Diva. We got our Diva Diaries. Let's do it.
Yeah, I have my first question is from one of my fellow bloggers on the DP Love Revolution. We're on Facebook. If anybody wants to join us, it's DP Love Revolution.
All right.
And he's one of our fellow bloggers, Steven Sykes.
Yeah, give out his government?
Yeah, well, that's what he wants.
All right.
He said, why are so many women accepting what TV and society is telling them what's cool in terms of dating a guy? Because the regular Joe guy is not on TV ads, billboards, magazines, women focus on the Adonis-looking guy or player thuggish type guy. Sort of the same effect of the toy doll study, because all the kids viewed the black doll was bad because society said so. The girls only chose the white dolls. Same principle in the type of men black women are told to date.
True. I agree with that for us too. Being that I'm married and I've already went through that dating thing, I had to go through that, especially being that I wasn't that Greek Adonis type of looking guy, you know. So I always felt like I could compensate that with my mouth, you know, talking and humor and getting women to feel comfortable with me. But I mean, honestly, a female, in my opinion, who buys into all of those images is kind of like, that's like saying if you not use the wrestling reference. I mean, if nobody's there to tell you, you know, that wrestling is fake, you grow up thinking that The Rock is really beating up somebody, you know. So, you know, if you have somebody in your corner as a female, whether it be your mother, a father, family, friend, saying, you know, or see examples of a big woman dating a small guy dating a big guy. Well, you know, I think it's, you know, you got to be attracted to them first of all. And so what I was attracted to was not necessarily, of course, Sheila E., Vanity, all of them was, but they were not I didn't see them in my neighborhood. You know, you might see one or two, but they were not women that I could sit there and say I could have at this moment or I could get to date. So, you know, just common sense for me says, you know, not everybody's built the same. Not everybody's going to look the same. I like that diversity. I like them big, fat, short or tall, 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. You know what I mean? So what I will say to that particular question or statement is that women need to have somebody to have examples to show that it doesn't always have to be that way.
Growing up, I had a twin, and, you know, we were different extremes of the same person. So I always had that person to compare it to. But you know what? It's your attitude that really dictates what that outer beauty carries. You can say, oh, well, I like light-skinned men. Well, when he treats you like a dog, don't sit there and say all black men are the same. Okay, hold on. You dated light-skinned dude. Same, right? All right, you need to clarify to that one person. The type of woman that I've dated the BBW. I've dated the tiny woman that still shops in a petite area. I've dated what is the model size. I've dated women taller. I've dated women shorter. It's your attitude. Your whole attitude dictates what you want. So, I mean, given his statement, I find a lot of fault in that because of the simple fact a person has to define what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. So, again, I just find a lot of fault with that personally.
So what do you think, Charisma?
As the lady.
Okay, I have a lot of opinions about this because I've actually responded to this question on the blog before. I kind of feel a little bit offended because I feel like, number one, if men do this and they judge a woman based on, you know, how they look physically attracted to them,
she got.
yeah, it's not a big deal. It's okay for him to have a preference.
But I've dated flat-booted ladies too.
Okay.
True. That's just to be fair.
But I think it's very unfair to say, oh, because you're a woman, you shouldn't have any preferences. Just pick any dude, and you know, you shouldn't have any physical attraction. Just base it off of all mental. And when you first see someone, you don't know what kind of personality they have. You don't know how smart they are. You don't know how funny they are, what kind of sense of humor they have. You don't know that. You base it off of physical attraction. Right. And that goes both ways. So I think it's unfair for him and other men to think that women shouldn't have any type of opinion with this, for one. That's one point. And then two, I think it's also unfair to say, okay, compare this with the black doll theory, because I may be very attracted to a dark-skinned man like Idris Elba or, you know, Morris Chestnut. That has nothing to do with his color.
You gotta say his name first.
Well,
because they're fine.
Well,
but
also,
anyway,
let me also bring this point into this fact into a point. When you eat, you visually, when you see food, you visualize that meal first. All right. So if the meal looks ugly, you don't want it. If the meal looks good, you want it. So beauty is, again, that skin deep kind of thought pattern. And if I see a fine looking woman, yeah, it catches my attention. I'm not going to lie. But then when I get to know that fine looking woman, she could be like Broomhilda.
And you know what? Your fine looking woman may look nothing like Jay Grizzly's fine looking woman.
Oh, it never will.
Or Marcus Jay's fine looking woman. Everybody has their own opinion.
I've knocked down some scandals.
I'll just say this. I won't get into a long diatribe on it because we got a call on the line. I'm going to get to the caller. But, you know, I have no problem with a woman having a preference because, you know, we can sit here and act like, you know, they will accept whatever man presents himself. But we all know that's just not the case. You know, you might have some that will. But the ones that don't need to be respected. I mean, period.
I think confidence overrides how a woman sees me. My confidence, my self.
Well, I mean, I think we all need to have an idea of what our stick is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, some people are, you know, tall, dark, and handsome, and that's how they roll. And then there's some people whose intellect, you know, is what does it for them. It is what it is. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. We got on the live line. We got Mr. Steven on the line, and this is his question.
This is his question.
So, Steven, thank you for joining. Ain't no how step with Marcus J, bro.
Thank you very much. First off, I don't mean to be offensive to anybody at all by any stretch of imagination. It's more of a two-part problem. One, I wanted to open up the discussion because, similar to what Ms. Arthur said, it's always talked about like what the men have a preference in. You see a lot of articles and the constant thing about men not doing this, men not doing this. But I'm just trying to focus the light at, hey, it's not just us. Women are doing it too, and the discussion needs to be open up of what things could be women could do. I'm not dismissing that men are guilty of these things, but I'm saying that when you try to say, hey, women are you guilty just as much, a lot of women are saying, no. The other part about it is that it goes to the issue of there's not a lot of men at home, so they're left up to believing whatever society or anything else says that this is beautiful, this is that. If you see something constant that this is this, 1,000 things are beautiful, then that's what you're going to get. You don't see many Bill Cosby's or, you know, Sinbad or whoever who's maybe more of a family man, joke or what have you, present themselves and take care of their family. But you see in a lot of movies the thug loving, you know, all these other different types of men. When I look out the window, I don't see every black man is not 6 foot tall, bald headed, reggae looking, or the smoke guy or the athlete. I see the common, everyday, beautiful black men who are doing the right things in life, but we're not projected in the media or not enough. Or you see a lot of women that will sit there on Oprah's couch, whoever's couch, and say there are not enough quality black men available. There are not enough this. There are, but you have, and I'm not saying people don't have a right to have a preference, but at some, and I'm not saying downgrade your personal desires, but at some things, like you mentioned before, there has to be a reality component in this. That you have to recognize that what are some things that we're still sticking on the fantasy, because in the real deal, there may be things what we want, but there may be things what God wants us to have, and that's where it's missing in the world.
Charisma, you want to respond to that? Stephen, thank you so much for your call, man. Keep listening. We appreciate it. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. Thank you, Stephen.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you very much, Stephen, for calling in. He's one of my dedicated Dating Pool Love Revolution members. He's always posting, and, you know, usually his posts are very, very positive and taken very well. So I just want to say thank you, first of all. In response to what he said, I understand, you know, it's a two-way process. When men do it, women do it. But I just feel like people of substance are going to find people of substance. I don't care about looks. Like, for me, for instance, I may think Idris Elba or Morris Chestnut are fine. Mm-hmm. But if I start dating them and they treat me like crap, they're not going to make it very far.
World. You just going to come over to the light skin.
No. I'm gonna look for more substance, and it may be somebody I work with. It may be someone that I, you know, see on a normal basis at the gym. It's a little bit harder when you're in a social setting to find Mr. or Mrs. Right, you know, based on intellect or based on personality.
But again, anything you see is going to be appealing at looking at the cover.
I agree.
That's point blank. You can't define that. You can't change that. That's never going to change. So if Ray Lewis, my wife loves Ray Lewis. Okay, Ray Lewis walks in this room right now. I ain't worried because Ray Lewis ain't going home with me, and it ain't going with her either. Though. He ain't going home with my wife. It's all, again, you can see what you want to see, but when you get to know that person, that's what really going to say, this person is beautiful, this person is ugly, this person is fine. I mean, how many men would have looked at Precious before Precious ever came onto this? I mean, I can't think of the young lady's name. The lady who
Gabrielle
Citibet. Yeah.
Okay, how many people would have looked at her prior to the movie Precious or the role she played? Not too many men, but you know what? There are some men that like the heavier set women.
I've seen her on some red carpets with some fellas or two.
Right, and the whole thing is, unless you're never going to change a person's desire or physical want. Ever. That's not going to change. I don't care what it is. Like I said, I grew up with a twin brother. My twin was skinnier than me. He was taller than me after a couple of years. He was lighter than me. And, you know, he probably had a better a better build than me. But the thing is, we were two different people. So he got his girls. I got my girls. You know, we hung around in the same circle. Girls? I ain't going to answer that question on the air. See? I ain't going to answer that question. Okay. The fact of the matter is this. You're going to see something one way. You're never going to change that visual aspect of what you're looking for.
Chris?
You're never going to change that.
Here's what I say. And one of the things I think about, speaking personally for me, is when I stopped looking and
stalking.
When I say looking, I'm talking about even dating wise. When you stop dating, you know, and just you know, focus on yourself. And be open to whoever fits where you are in that particular space in life. That image that Stephen was talking about to a man, and I would hope, and again, I can't speak for women, but I understand where he's coming from, because I've heard women say that a lot. You know, you're too short. You're not. You know, I need I need your FICO to be 720. I need you to be 6'2" or whatever, or something like that. But if you stop looking, i.e., stop dating, and once you discover who you are, then that right person, almost like the laws of attraction, will come to you inevitably. If you don't settle for something that you wouldn't settle for, you know, my oldest son's mom. Mm-hmm. You know, just as she could go for. She's lighter than Halle Berry.
You know, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because, you know, when I was younger, I used to get that a lot. You know, I wish you was taller. Oh, you so cute. You be like my little brother. And even now, I'm damn near.
You got the little brother.
I'm damn, yeah, I used to get the little brother thing all the time.
They got this big brother jaw.
I used to get it all the time. And I'm damn near 40, and I still got people thinking, that I'm a kid.
Right.
It is what it is. If that's what your preference is, if you like somebody that's taller than Marcus J, that has a more, I guess, manly face, then so be it. I mean, it's a matter of what you like.
You're still comfortable in your own.
Well,
too.
I mean, when I was younger, it used to bother me, but now I'm like, whatever. I do all right. You know what I'm saying? I do all right.
So a question for Charisma, Daniel, because I mean, really, the question is more pointed towards why women do this, and you're saying that it's almost like a double standard. Like if men can do it, why can't women? We're saying that women can. I say women can do it.
Right.
I'm just saying if you got to be balanced.
It's human nature.
It's human nature, but I think it's got to be balanced. Like you can't just if you're a sister and all you're dating is that thug dude, you're doing an injustice to yourself. Not only just yourself, but the regular dudes that out there that ain't thugging.
Now, as for the thug dude, I really don't understand that mentality. Even when I was young, I wasn't looking for a thug.
Like a Tupac.
You know what I mean? So, I don't understand. Right.
Some women like a Tupac.
Yeah, I don't understand, so I can't really explain why women.
It's not for you to understand.
But I was asked about it, so I'm responding.
She's just answer the question.
I understand that, but again, it's not for you to explain that. That's not your physical.
So real quick, before we get to because Marcus J, you got a call. We're gonna set it up real quick for him. Real quick, think back quickly to when you were dating. What was you looking for, and what did you end up with? Have you always ended up with what you thought was the epitome of beauty?
I mean, I could speak to that. I mean, I think we all, when we're in our prime dating years, I used to have, I used to have like a builder girl. Right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, if I was building a lady, she would have this and she would have that, and all those kinds of things. And some folks, end up with that, and then there's other folks that don't. But doesn't necessarily mean that those who don't end up with the physical attributes that they were looking for doesn't mean that it didn't work out. Right. And then there's situations where you got all the physical stuff you was looking for, and she crazy as hell.
Crazy,
right?
Right.
So it is what it is. Charisma's gonna have one more comment, and then we're gonna go to the call on the live line.
To answer Jake Rizzy's question, no, most of the guys that I ended up in serious relationships with, I didn't find them that attractive in the beginning. So, it was a situation where I got to know them, and you went through the back door type of thing, like somebody introduced
Hopefully
you.
Not literally.
Or not literally.
Okay.
But the thing is with that though, ladies, and it's just been my experience, but ladies are not quite as shallow, for lack of a better term, about physical attributes than we are.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with biology. Men are visual. And that's just it just is what it is. Men are more visual, and that's how we're stimulated, whereas a lady's stimulation, of course, she likes visual like we do, but it's not quite as important to them as it is with us. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We got a caller on the live line. We got Miss Toyana joining us up. What's going on, girl?
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Hey, girl.
Doing good. Thank you for joining us. Glad to hear from you. So what you got? I'm sure you've been listening. I know you got a whole lot to say, so what you got?
Well, I'm going to try to make it short and sweet because I am short and sweet physically. So since we are talking about just what we look for, I would say for me as a woman, depending on a woman's maturity level of their age, depends on a lot of what kind of physical attributes that a woman looks for. And if a woman is confident in herself, then it would definitely change. For example, for me, when I was in my 20s, it was okay for you to be 6'5" and this complexion and all these muscles on your body and all that great stuff. And then once I got into my 30s, I decided, okay, well, I had those things, but that guy wasn't the best catch, or maybe he wasn't intellectually challenging for me, or maybe physically challenging for me. So I started to cut down the list physically and look more at the inside of his potential and his character. And now that I'm in my, now I just turned 40, the physical can be 50% and his personality and his intellect can be 50%. So I think it really depends on the individual when it comes to a male and a female of what they are physically attractive to. And you can always be physically attracted to something, but you have to decide on, is it going to be lust or is it going to be something that you truly desire? So hopefully I'm in the conversation with you guys. I just kind of tuned in, but that's just what I have to say.
You got it. You're right in the wheelhouse. We appreciate it, girl.
Thank
you so
you.
much for calling, and we're going to have you back in studio one day real soon, all right?
Awesome. Miss you guys. Bitches.
You got
Bye.
it.
So
All right.
what she said?
You got it. Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus Jack.
So-
I mean, but basically, I mean, we understand where she's going. I mean, basically, what she's saying is, you know, as you mature, for lack of a better term, your priorities begin to shift with regards to what is most important to you. Whereas if you were a younger person, maybe the physical was more important to you. As you have become more mature, maybe those physical attributes aren't quite as important to you as they were when you were younger. Now, Steven is hitting us again on the, Steven just called us, is hitting us on the MixLR page, you know, and he's making the point that he had dated women in the past where the physical attributes with regards to her may not, and I'm paraphrasing, Steven, I know this isn't what you said, but basically the physical attributes that she may have may not be mainstream beautiful, whereas he actually literally referenced the woman that, you know, was quite large with regards to her height as well as her weight, and he's not, you know, and so imagine that visual as somebody not them walking down the street and seeing them. You know, you might kind of bug out when you see it, but if Steven is cool with that, then that's really all that matters.
Steven, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna ask Carter, how tall was Big Bird?
Big Bird is like 6'4", 6'5".
How tall am I?
You are like 5'8", 5'9".
At best, and I was knocking the dust.
Yeah, you know,
what I'm saying is, to keep it clean, is that, and this was in college.
College, yes.
You know, so I did not have, you know, I don't know how to explain how I got as a man, and I can't, again, I'm not going to speak for sisters because I ain't no sister, but as a man, how I enjoyed a smorgasbord of different kinds, shapes, the size of women. In the mindset of, I wanted a Sheila E. I wanted an Apollonia.
I wanted Janet Jackson.
Or Janet Jackson, but they were not in my hood. They were not in my they were not in my sphere, so to speak.
I don't want to take too much away from the dating pool diva in the segment. I mean, the only comment I'll make to that is, you know, as a short man, all of 5'4", you know, I never felt like anybody was off limits to me.
Exactly.
I never felt like that.
Confidence thing.
I just never did. You know, when I was in high school, you know, I had a girlfriend that was 6 foot, you know, and, you know, I dated 5 foot, you know, so it really didn't matter to me, that kind of stuff. If I was trying to roll with you and my intellect caused you to want to roll with me, we can do this. Charisma?
I'm a type of person that I really believe in spiritual connection, and I think that you're going to connect with whoever you're going to connect with, whoever is in your circle, as Jay Grizzly was saying, and whoever you have a good vibe with. You know, I've seen many attractive men that I'm like, damn, he's fine, and then I get closer and I see how stank his attitude is just from observing.
I thought you were gonna say
like the
brush
same
stink.
thing like you.
Or that, you know what I'm saying? So you will connect with it. People will be drawn to you. It's magnetism, and you will be drawn to who you're supposed to
I think
be.
what Steven is saying though is the image of beauty that is perpetuated, that works on the I won't say the unintelligent female, but the lack of fortitude in a woman. Like if she's not well grounded, she sees a Morris chestnut ever so often. She tends to believe that that's her Prince Charming and that's who she wants, and that will tend to fall away from the regular Joe Schmo. Yeah.
We got two hits on the MixLR page. Toyana, who just talked to us, said that she would consider Kevin Hart, for example, for the example of him being a short man,
Right.
because
He's good-looking, too.
she enjoys his humor. He's funny, that sort of thing, you know. But if he had a jacked up attitude, that would be a little bit different. True. So, you know, that's consistent with what she was saying on the line. And then Steven is checking me. He's saying that I could go ahead and put it out there. Steven's 5'5", 200. Old girl was 6'4", over 300.
Go ahead,
So and again, I don't have no issue with that. If that's how Steven, if that's how Steven roll and that's how the young lady roll, then so be it. Let's move on to another question.